All right, y'all, listen up and let's talk about it. Love and Marriage Part 2. I am so very excited, and many thanks to Alicia for joining me in on this conversation, because listen, we can't talk if y'all don't come on here and talk. So thank you so much, because I really am heavy on the let's talk about it. So before we get into Love and Marriage Part 2, we need to recap on Love and Marriage Part 1. When that ended, my husband and I, our thoughts are sometimes in sync. And so I was in the shower and he was in the room. And when I got out of the shower, he said, that story didn't come out right. It didn't sound right. And I said, that's crazy. I said the same thing in the shower. So he's going to retell the story so that it may clear it up. And in case you're confused of why I'm doing this or what I'm talking about, I've done audio and video for Love and Marriage Part 1. So on the audio on all the streaming networks, Part 1 is on there, but it cuts off at the hour point. Our last one with me and my husband was 2 hours. So I cut it off on the audio for 1, but I re-explained the story. So this is Part 1 or Part 2, if that makes sense. And then we can move on and really actually start Part 2. So without further ado, we're going to turn this over to Mr. Adams.
Hello there. Hello. How everybody doing again? All right. Well, let me get right to it. I guess we were talking about maybe the earlier part of 2000. Again, I was just getting out of school, headed on the trolley. And again, it was this beautiful being with a turquoise shirt on, white pants, turquoise shoes on. And Lord knows, I was just astonished by this person and this being. And so I guess I got to get to it. So yeah, so I walked up to her and grabbed her butt, and she must have gave me a mouthful. You blase blah, I'ma call blase 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 blah. Oh, I felt so small, but chin up, chest out. I took it and act like it didn't bother me or what have you. So the following day I went to school. And so my friend comes up to me, she says, hey, best friend, how you doing? And I said, with an attitude, oh, you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? Something of that nature. And she's like, what's the problem? Why you say that? She said, I said, that all that mean stuff you said at the trolley station. So my best friend told me, oh, that was you? My sister told me that some guy walked up to her and grabbed her butt. And I was like, you a bald-faced lie. You ain't, that wasn't your sister. You're a bald-faced lie. I got a twin sister, identical twin sister. Well, I was unaware that you got an identical twin sister, and we've been friends for quite some time. So, so yeah, I guess second semester of 2000, huh? Yeah, second semester of 2000. At lunchtime, my best friend comes up to me and she says, come here, best friend, I need you to meet somebody. And lo and behold, there's two beings that look identical. And so we hit it off since then. We hit it off and we've been friends ever since then. But that's my story. And if I can go back, I wouldn't change a bit. But I wish I was able to use my words and tell her how beautiful she was as a being and approach her. You know, anybody knows, anybody that grows up in the Southeast neighborhood and things like that, it's just like you have this kind of chip on your shoulder. You have like everyone has to, everyone wants to be that guy and whatnot. And so I apologize for, you know, how I approach you, but I'm not apologetic for meeting you. I love you. Thank you guys for having me. Y'all take it easy. All right.
Thanks, babe. That was a long story. But really what we felt was important was that, people don't understand it unless you're a twin, but people always assume that if one is attracted to one, you got to be attracted to the other, or whatever craziness people assume when it comes to twins. And so the way the story out came before, when he says he just walked up to me and touched my butt, he didn't think I was Marquita. He was not physically attracted to my sister. He just had no idea that she had somebody that looked just like her, but he didn't think I was her when that happened. So that was all I wanted to clear up. Not necessarily that I have to, like I said, as these shows get better, I'm gonna stop clearing stuff up. You just, gonna have to take it how you take it. But for that, with us starting out, especially on something as serious as love and marriage, we did want to clear that up. It's like, ain't no funny business going on over here. So, hey, Leash.
Hi. Thank you
Yeah,
for having
sorry.
me. I'm excited to be a part of the
Good,
conversation. Last week was
good.
great, so
Thank you. I didn't want to make it all awkward for you, but I had to, I got many audiences to appease right now. So I said, let's
of
kill two birds
course,
with one stone. So
exactly.
let's really talk about this love and marriage thing. First of all, tell us your love story, you and your husband's love story. Everybody has a love story. You got to tell it.
Yeah, well, we met in 2004. There was a party that my friend Laverne was going to, and she asked me to go in a different neighborhood, and I wasn't really up to it. But I said, she dragged me out the house basically. So we went, and she had some military guys there that was with us, and I wasn't really interested. So I was kind of by myself in the corner. And he came in with his friends, and I immediately like immediately I wanted to talk to him. And but I was shy, I went to the bar. I wasn't even 21. I didn't even drink, but him and his friends were at the bar. I went over there, got a drink, and he asked for my number. And I was so like stunned. I said no. And so I went back to the party, and then I ended up like thinking about him. I couldn't stop thinking about him. So I gave him my number. He called me 3 days later, and we started a friendship from there for a year, dated after that, and we've been together ever since. So it'll be what, 16 years dealing with each
Oh,
other at the end of this month on the 27th of November. Yeah. So
16
16
years.
years and married 11. We'll be celebrating 11 years. So
11 years, man. Let's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
have a moment for that right there. Because if you know,
So
then
thank
you know.
you.
If you
Yeah.
know, you know. And it's uncommon for people like us that come from where we're from to see
Yeah.
that and know that. And so I'm always going to applaud that because it's something that needs to be celebrated. Now, this is my thing, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. And please, I apologize. I'm a talker, so feel free to cut over me because I will lose track of talking in the midst of things. So forgive me in advance if that happens. But if you know, then you know. And when you come from this and you say and you stand on, I've been married, we've been together 11 years, 16 years, or for me and my husband, we've been friends for 20 years, married for 9 years. People
Right.
automatically want to hold the microscope up to your relationship. It got to be something wrong. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. It can't be this. It can't be that. They think they
Just
this. They
staying
think that.
together for the wrong reasons. I've heard it all.
Tell me about it. Okay. I'm just trying to see if it's resonated somewhere here, because I mean that's been my experience. Have you shared that same experience? And how does that make you feel?
Well, really, I don't like to be the goal relationship because every relationship is different. So what a goal in your life we might not touch that goal at all, whatever you're trying to achieve in your relationship. So I just feel like I do appreciate everyone looking at us and saying it can happen. It can happen from two people from Southeast. It can happen from two people from different parts of, the city. It can happen with two people who've had children with, other people previously.
Absolutely.
So I like that aspect of it. But besides that, it's just like, we're two people, we struggle independently together as parents, everything. So it just kind of makes me feel uncomfortable when people say goals, but I do like to be looked at as something to aspire to have.
Absolutely. And I think that there's no shame in it. And I think that especially now in this moment with everything going on in the nation, it's something that needs to be celebrated, not just for the Black woman, but for the Black man, for the Black family. We have to reestablish what it means, unfortunately, to be married. So what's your questions? What questions you got? What we going to ask each other today? Come on, give me one.
Well, I wanted to know, are you willing to compromise your happiness for the sake of a successful relationship?
Ooh, girl. In the hot seat now, child. Okay. Transparency. I don't know if my husband want me to say this, but he already know how I am. So, we'll ask for forgiveness later. But I've been trying to get my husband to go to marriage counseling our whole entire marriage. I feel like it's something that is extremely, extremely important. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your religious background is. You need to talk to somebody else outside of your friends, your family, your colleagues, and all of that about the things that go on within your marriage. You need to have somebody else to do it. If it's a pastor, that's wonderful, but preferably somebody that you don't know. Okay, but that's a
Yeah.
day, that's another story for another day. So anyways, I finally got him to agree to go right now during quarantine, which to me, hey, praise Jesus, is probably the best time, to be honest with
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny that you said that, because I literally say that to my marriage therapist all the time. And so I think only you know, and that's why you really have to have a relationship with God, because we're human, we're carnal, you know what I mean? So we are going to react on emotions and things like that. And so you have to really be in tune with your star player, yourself and your needs, but also what God is seeing for your union, because you ask God to bless your union before you try and figure out exactly how much. But it's more of the story, it's a constant tug of war, even for somebody like me, because I always say, I'm compromising now, but then I keep on compromising, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but I find myself coming to that realization often. And it's like, okay, you compromising, and what? And then me, I always try to play devil's advocate. I get it from my husband, and it annoys me when he do it, but I do it all the time. And I think about it if I was in his shoes a lot too.
Right.
Like, how much has he compromised,
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways.
That's crazy. How do you feel about that though?
I feel like I definitely am willing to compromise my happiness in certain situations. And like you said, he does as well. And that's what makes it a team, right? Because it's like, I'm a basketball lover, so I'm going to compare it to basketball, but like we all share the ball. Like you take some shots, then I'll pass it to you, like you win, I win, we win, basically. Absolutely. So that's kind of my mind frame of it. I don't really have like a selfish mind frame when it comes to being in a relationship, and I try not to keep count. I've sacrificed this many times. Like if it's a conversation we're having, fine, but I don't think you should keep count. It's just like whatever feels. I want to make him happy, and he wants to make me feel happy, and that's really what leads us on. When it comes down to conversation.
That's probably what helps in the compromise and making it a little bit easier. I don't know about for you, but for me, it took a couple years, but realizing whatever the problem is or whatever the issue is, it's not us against each other for that issue. It's us together facing that issue, even if it's just the issue that's affecting me, even if it's just the issue that's affecting him. It then becomes ours, and we gotta have to handle it in the way that we do, because it's always us against the problem, not us allowing the problem to get between us, if that makes sense.
But it does, also, like you said, it takes years though, because it's not always. I mean, 9 years, 11 years, it's definitely work to get to that point, to understand. And it's a level of maturity that you have to think, okay, wait, let me calm down, let me reel it back in, and let me really look at this from, a different perspective. So
absolutely. But I still believe, I'm a firm believer, because I'm a woman first, amen, hallelujah. And you don't compromise, you compromise in a marriage, but you also don't put your happiness in the hands of your spouse. That's too much pressure. You understand what I'm saying? That's an added bonus to your happiness. Right. You understand what I'm saying? You got to
get that wrong.
How to find things and get things and be things that make yourself happy. And he's going to naturally be happy because you're happy anyway. So it's a win-win. But essentially, because I don't know about you, but if you don't handle it that way, you'll feel like you're losing yourself in your marriage, and then you'll have resentment, and you don't want to do that, because then you don't want compromise when you feeling some type of way about this individual.
Right.
So you have to hold your own happiness as well while you still compromise. I felt like that was important.
I agree with that. What you got for me?
Let me see. I upgraded my iPhone. This technology is a wonderful thing, especially for something like a podcast. But we already had the discussion about me and technology. So it's driving me crazy. It actually auto updated overnight, so I'm annoyed. But we'll get through it. So, yes. So, I got to start with a tough one.
Good.
What are your thoughts about this culture of proud side chicks? Let's talk about it.
Honestly, I have a lot of, sometimes I'm around a younger group of ladies. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, I have kind of a different insight as far as like why maybe some ladies decide to do the things they do. But I really feel like no one wants to be alone. I really feel like loneliness drives people's actions. And even if they know deep down in their heart it's not the right thing to do, nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to grow old by themselves. And people just need attention. With that being said, you know, it just doesn't feel good as a wife. Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't feel good when you know that you have worked hard for your man in your relationship, and then you just know that if there's someone that just will literally risk it all, but they're not risking nothing. It's really your life, your family, everything you've worked for. So it just doesn't feel good at times, honestly, like to hear certain things or see certain things, you know?
Yeah.
Even some of the story of, you know, of friends, it's like, okay, and then it's like, well, here comes preacher, you know, or white sister, you know, and it's like, come on now, like they don't understand it though, you know?
Yeah, I can agree more. I can definitely see it from both ends sometimes, but that doesn't mean I'm defending one over the other. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as a wife and as somebody who feels like people of our generation don't take marriage seriously, I feel like that contributes to why. And so at some point, you know, we have to look within ourselves and figure out what part of us resonates with that. You get what I'm saying? I ain't trying to shade no one, but I do say, you know, for the ones that are like gloating about it and proud to go around and be taking somebody's man, like only want a man that's taken, it's like, go get your own. If you so bad, you so top, you so this, you so that, go get your own. You understand what I'm saying? So like I said, I'm not downing anybody or their choices or judging them or anything like that. But as a wife, a mother, and a woman, a mother of daughters, you understand what I'm saying? Like, come on, baby, get yourself together. Love yourself a little. Not saying everybody don't love themselves, but think more highly of yourself, because there's a one for everybody. God already done work that out. That's how I feel. And you know, it takes some of us longer to figure that out, and that's fine. That's wonderful. Do your thing. But once you figure that out in a marriage and you get married, that's it. Yeah. But I could definitely see it from both ways.
Okay, well, I had another question, but now that I'm talking and I'm realizing that we both have husbands who are stepfathers to daughters, I wanted to ask you, how did you all adapt? How did you adapt to having a man come into your life, a good man, a man that you knew you were going to spend your life with? And how did you welcome him into helping you raise your daughter?
It was a challenge, and he'll tell you, it's a lot of things that I felt like I was oblivious to, you know, when you're trying to make everything work and you're caught up in the moment, wife, mother, stepmotherhood, you know, well, for him, stepfatherhood, you know, things like that. And so he tells me stories and I'm like, I mean, I remember it, but I don't, you know, but it was an adjustment. It was definitely an adjustment. I think it was a little bit of harder of an adjustment because me being me, I was the mom that said, okay, it don't matter if I move on, my daughter is still going to have a relationship with her biological father. So, you know, as she so chooses when she gets older, you know, whatever the case may be, but she was 5 years old when that happened. So I wanted to still keep that line of communication open or whatever the case may be. So she knows and accepts and acknowledges that she has two fathers in her life. However, it gets challenging when you add in that component. And so it was a lot at first. I mean, they're a lot better now. We're a lot better now, you know, as a team, but I was never worried about the dad piece, so more so than the perception of the dad piece, because the first thing people want to say is, oh, you got this dude around your daughter, you got this and this and that, you know. I wasn't really, I knew in my heart, I would never bring somebody around my child that I had to worry about, especially not no man. You understand what I'm saying?
For sure.
But getting people to know and see that and trust that, I don't care how you feel about me, I'm a mother. So come on now, respect that. You understand what I'm saying? So it was challenge, not for me to adapt, for him to adapt, and most importantly for Mackenzie to adapt. It just took a lot of work. It took a lot of reassurance. First and foremost, you could probably relate to this in a blended family. The better the adults act and respond to each other, the better the children will, you know. And so
because it feels more natural. They feel the tension if there's tension, but if they feel loved, then that's what they'll feel, as they should.
And so in my house, we exude love. We
Mhm.
absolutely exude love. And so even if there's something outside of our home being said or done in our house, we exude love. And so,
Yeah.
she knows who she is and where she come from, but that doesn't mean that she or I or he cannot acknowledge what we are building together and what we have built together. Because
Yes.
we 9 years in. She's been out here for 9 years, girl.
Love that. Love that. Good answer.
How was it for you? Oh my gosh.
Um, so they didn't meet until 6 months after
Okay.
him and I met. Just because I always knew I was a young mom, but I always knew that I didn't want to introduce her to just
Mm-hmm.
anybody I was seeing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, it was just very slow and gradual, and we just started spending time kind of together. He has a child from a previous marriage, so we would do like stuff, movie dates, all of us. So we could all get to kind of know each other. And so it wasn't too just awkward or forced. We just took everything really, really slow, and everyone built their relationship from that. I mean, and now 11 years later, like her and he have the strongest, closest relationship in the house.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Again,
Yeah.
that's where that love is. Like, I feel like Mackenzie is the way that she is because of how I am. I didn't bad mouth talk, and I think that that is really important too on how we do it in our household as well. And I don't think enough people pay attention to that. That's why you gotta be
Yeah.
careful who you choose as your mate. You gotta be careful who you choose to have children with in case it doesn't work out. And that's a whole nother added layer for when you move on. Come on now, you know what I'm talking about. So I just, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so I think we kind of touched on this with that opening question, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you believe that
Okay.
people tend to glamorize their thought of marriage rather than the act and the commitment that comes along with it?
Hell yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
No,
Yes, I do.
you're
Yes, because marriage is work. It's work, it's hard work. And sometimes I don't even like to say that, because what do people think? Oh, I love you, and that should be enough. And it is
fine.
enough, but you have to work in any relationship in your life.
Absolutely.
As a parent, spouse,
Mhm.
coworker, daughter, whatever, it takes work and it takes effort and a level of commitment that a lot of people don't have in anything in life. I mean, if not just, they may not have a commitment for work or whatever, like you have to commit to doing something. And some people just don't have that desire within themselves to do that. So sorry.
We have this microwave generation. Everybody wants everything fast.
Yes.
We expect the instant
Yes.
gratification. Me. I. And them is bad letters in a marriage. Me. I. Them letters, they don't work too well when it's too many of them back to back in a marriage. So yeah.
For sure. So I agree. I think everything, they just don't understand the level of commitment, and that may not mean that they don't want to,
Right.
but they don't understand. So they on Instagram, you see everyone matching, Ferraris and this and that, and it's like, oh, that's great, but
Yeah.
what is that home life really about?
Right. Yeah, it's true. I read it somewhere or somebody said it. People want the wedding, but not the marriage. They don't, you see all these
Yes,
pretty,
that's one of my favorites.
yeah, they want the wedding and they see, all this, because weddings are beautiful. Like they make you feel so good, but,
Yeah, they do.
the real work starts after that wedding,
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry. My next question is, do you still like what you loved about your partner, and why? Like, what is it and why?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely do. Like, he is the sweetest person that you will ever meet. I mean that wholeheartedly. And it's interesting to see it because you don't really see it in men. You can be masculine and still be nice. Come on now. So he's very much a man's man, but he is the sweetest, and he's been that way ever since I've known him. Like the kindest
Yeah.
person that you'll ever meet. Like, he got to be real mad at you to say something bad about you, and even then he ain't really gonna say nothing bad. And when we was in high school, we used to sit around and clown each other and clown other people. Now we used to roast people,
Yeah,
so
right.
but he still, in his heart, in his core, to his soul, he's a sweet, good, kind-hearted person. So
Okay, so follow-up question to that,
okay.
because my husband is very nice and friendly, and I hear you talk a lot about praise your husband even for, speaking to the cashiers, being that my husband does the same thing, and I love that too. But then how do you deal with maybe how people could take that the wrong way, women in particular, and think that maybe they're hitting on him or they want something more when he's just like, I'm offering to just take your bags to the car because I see you struggling. Like,
It's so funny too, because people sometimes my mouth seems two-sided because I try to look at things from all angles. So I have my opinion and then I try and play the devil's advocate. So sometimes it be sounding kind of weird, but I don't care. That's just how I go. So I said that to say my husband is very sweet, but he's a little bit of a butthole sometimes. So
okay.
My thing with that is I never even have to worry. Like, he does it, it's like he doesn't even respond to them. So these women look foolish thinking and assuming that it's something more than just being nice, because he makes it very, very clear. Hi, bye,
Right.
thank you, you're welcome. God is good. Let me keep going. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it just, women do take it the wrong way, but and that's another thing. I don't have to worry about the young girls. It's these old ass ladies, Alicia. I mean,
No, listen, same.
coolers out here. Okay, my husband is 37 years old. He's not that old, but these women got to be around his age, but probably not, because a lot of people even around that age are still living that young life. These is people at 40, 45, 50. These is women that got something with themselves. If you don't take your old ass
Yes. No, I could totally relate to that. So it's a gift and a curse, but I would rather it be him being polite and kind and all of those things, versus being rude. I would hate to be out and he's rude to the checkout lady or whatever. I would never want that. So
right. That's crazy though. Yeah. But speaking on that now, as wives who have, I'm sure if your husband is nice, he's probably very generous too, whether, financial funds, time, advice, work, or whatever the case may be. Do you find sometimes that people take advantage of that? And then how do you respond to that? Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think more so in the beginning when we were dating, and things I would see. I think I remember us being on a date one time and his friend called and asked for a favor. I think maybe to get a gallon of water from the liquor store around the corner. But like, we're on a date.
Right.
And he has a vehicle. But so he has such a big heart, but it's just like, oh, it just made me feel a little uncomfortable. Like, oh, you're so nice. I love that. But like, make sure you take care of you, right? But like self-love, like put yourself, it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. It's okay to say no sometimes, so I was really more so trying to let him know, like, you can be good to you too and also good to others. So that's pretty much what my kind of direction was on that, as far as that topic with him. Like, just make sure you say yes to you more than you say yes to others.
Right. And I bring that up because, our men are their own men. They do their own thing. They had their own lives before we came around or anything like that. What I realized with me in our situation, and you can tell me if this is the case with you guys, is because that's how he's always been. As we solidified our marriage and started really being serious about what it was that we were wanting and what our goals were and really working towards putting in that foundation, he then had to start telling people no. And then it became an issue of, oh, you doing this or you doing that because of that, and vice versa. People even say that, let's leave the husbands out of it. Has it even been your experience that people even say that to you now as a wife because you don't move as much or you're not as accessible as you once were before?
Totally. I've had a friend, I couldn't make something, and her response, I'll use the word friend loosely. Her response was, don't say you can't make it because of your husband and your kids. Well, that's exactly why I can't make it, because that's all I do. I'm sorry. Like, and so, yeah, I'm not as accessible. I'm very busy, but my family comes first. And that's to whoever, you know. I don't have a problem saying no though.
Right.
So I don't struggle with that as much, but I definitely got so much of the, you know, or he received it. Well, because of her, now you're not doing this, or you're not there, or you're not here, blah blah blah. So
right,
yeah,
right.
Another issue that we have to overcome and battle, you know?
Right. It's so crazy because, you know, I don't, you know, a lot of people that I know, which is very few, that have been married for like a really, really, really long time and stuff. These are not the kind of conversations that they have. So I feel like I don't even have like a point of reference, even for the people that are married, to really be able to ask, like, is this what happens? How did this happen? Like, this is how it goes. I don't even really know. I feel like we are learning our own struggles within our own marriage of how marriage is supposed to be, because we don't really even have nobody to go ask for real, for real.
Right. No, or I struggle with that too, where I feel like, gosh, like, okay, I may have some friends, but they may be married, but they don't have kids, or they're not in a blended family situation. Right. So it's like they don't relate the same. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to, you know, kind of say, hey, well, this is how I'm feeling. Is this normal? Or, you know.
Right. That's a very good point. The blended family part really, I mean, we could probably talk all day about that.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that I just don't think that enough people really know and understand what comes along with it. I'm not just here to compare marriages and say which one is easier or which one's not, because I don't know a marriage outside of being a blended family. So I can't tell you what it's like for a family who don't have kids, or who all their kids are the same mother and father. I can't tell you that. You know, you can tell me, please do, but I can't. I can't tell you that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something really worth exploring, of course, at another time. But it's so key, because it impacts your marriage so much. It really does. And not to say other things don't for other situations, but if you're gonna be married, you got to know that as well. You really got to know that, and people need to be honest about that. Like, okay, buddy, buckle up. Yeah. Buckle up. So I put, you have a pretty active friend circle, and y'all appear to have been friends for many, many years. Has it been your experience that some of your friends and family are a little more reluctant to get married nowadays? I think we kind of covered that, but that was my other question.
No, I think that they are more so wanting to get married because of that.
Okay.
Because we, my friend circle, we are very like family oriented, and so we do pretty much everything. Usually when we get together, there's about 15 kids and maybe 15, 20 kids and maybe 12 adults. So we're a big group. And so everyone loves to, you know, have the mom, the dad, the kids, you know, pets, whatever. So I think it kind of makes them feel like they definitely want to be, you know, in a long commitment and hopefully a marriage.
Cool. That's really good. I can't relate. But I'm out here, you know, not alone, because I have gained some relationships, but that is not something I see. All my neighbors are married. Well, most of them are all married seniors. The sad part about that is usually one passes away. So I've seen a lot of older marriages, but I've seen my fair share of, and it's usually the husband. With old age that passes away. But speaking of that, not to kind of be a Debbie Downer, I think it might be your turn next to answer the question, but is that something that you worry about as well as life outside of that? But we can toss that aside for now if you have another question that you want to ask. I think it's your turn now.
I want to talk about that. Life. Okay, what's the question?
Just about, like, do you think about life if something, God forbid, were to happen to your husband or anything like that? Do you think about that? Even now, if we want to tie it into what's going on in the media and things like that, you know, not to say anything drastic, Lord, God forbid, but you get what I'm saying. Is that something that you fear, life, you know, without your better half?
Well, definitely. Well, I've been with him since I was 20 years old. I've never lived on my own without him. So, you know, he's pretty much all I know. And our oldest are 20 and 19. So him and I and our two oldest sat down about 4 months ago, and we were just discussing life insurance, because we were actually getting another policy and explaining to them why and what it's for and things like that. And so it's definitely uncomfortable to think about a tragic situation that could happen, but it's life. We've seen it, you know. I mean, Kobe Bryant, you know, just recently, like that was devastating. But you know, as long as you have your business taken care of, your ducks in a row, at least that's the last thing they'd have to worry about. I would hate to leave here and he has to worry about, you know, everything else without me, and then money or bills, right? So just be an adult, and like I said, maturity. You got to be mature. Everyone's gonna die someday. Like, let's have this conversation. Let's make sure we can leave each other in the best possible scenario, you know.
Right. I hear you.
So that's kind of how I feel. Besides that, I don't want to think about him not being here. Like,
no, I understand. And I don't, you know, I serve a mighty God. So those are discussions that I don't even really have, but it's so great because I didn't even think about, see, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Life insurance, you know, because that's another great segue, and I'll wait for you to give your answer and then I'll ask the next question after that. But I'm glad you brought up life insurance because that brings up finances.
Yeah. You want to ask about finances?
No, go ahead. Do your question, Leash. I told you I'm a talker, girl. I'll get all wrapped up.
Let me see. Where's my other question? I did have one. Oh, more so like intimacy.
Okay.
So, like how, and I know that you and your husband touched on this last week, but I just want to know, like, you know, woman to woman, how important is intimacy for you, like in the marriage? And I mean specifically, like out of a week, like not what he wants or you giving in, just for you.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you want to know about, because that's compromise. Oh, okay.
No, not the compromise.
This is not the politically correct answer, but this is how I feel. First of all, when you guys love each other, you're going to have to come to plenty of compromises. Like we said on the very first show, men are very, very physical. So there are going to be needs that are going to be met. However, as women in America, I'm trying to debunk the whole superwoman thing and kind of prioritize and take things off the scale. But even with taking things off the scale, we generally tend to have a plate full, you know what I mean? We have a plate full, including the needs of our husband, if that makes sense as well, you know? So for me, realistically, it's 7 days in a week, maybe 3 or 4, you know, maybe, but for my husband, you know, he seems to think otherwise. Now, the compromise we come up to, I won't even bring him in here and get him to run it down. But no, I get it. Staying stressed. So it's important. It's so important. It's so important.
It's important. I definitely agree that it's important. Like the need to connect, right? Like I feel like I need him in a sense of like that it's like a recharge. Like I know we're okay. I know that everything feels okay, and like it's like a comfort for me. And so, you know, if I'm just I guess it's important because it gives me like comfort, stability. Like that's my sign. Like, you know, balance, I don't know. It probably doesn't make sense, but
it makes sense. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's you know, yeah. My husband's very physical, so you know, it's just, you know, so but also, but speaking of that, I see CJ too. Look at him. Speaking of that, also, what was I gonna say? It'll come back to me. I hate it when that happens. I was hoping that didn't happen on air, but it happens often. So, oh well. Finances. How important are finances? Like, I don't know about you guys, but we do. He hates it when I refer to it as this, but yours, mine, and ours. And so, how do you guys look at finances? It still all goes into the same pot. It's really technically not a yours, ours, and mine, but it's easier if we look at it like that. So how what's you guys' or how much, you know, how comfortable are you discussing you guys' arrangement and what works for your marriage?
Well, actually, we are pretty much the same. Sorry, we have.
It went down. Hold on.
Okay. So we have 2 separate accounts, but it's all one pot, like you said.
Right.
At one point, we had one bank account where everything went to that bank account, and his name was on that bank account. And that's just a level of trust and comfort that he has provided to me.
Right.
But it was important to me to go into that this way because every single thing that we have, purchased together, acquired together. So at no point can one of us say, this is mine, this is mine, I'm taking this or that. It's like, this is our home. We built our home, our life together. Literally, everything was purchased with our money. And so that's why I feel like we kind of avoid certain financial arguments or disputes that way as well, because we just don't really argue about money. It's ours,
Right.
So.
That part. Right. And that's a beautiful thing to celebrate, because I don't think it always starts like that anyway. And so when it eventually gets to that point, it's like, oh, wow, what a relief. One less thing that we know that we don't have to worry about or argue about, like, So, yeah. So we talked about in the last show, and I kind of disclosed my pet peeves. What are your pet peeves?
Specifically?
I mean, you can speak in general, hypothetical.
No, I mean,
one.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. One of my pet peeves, just off the top, is, and this is like so, it's so small, but like he does this thing where he like he pulls his socks like halfway off, and then he rubs them like against the carpet, and like you can hear it, and like and it's like, why do you do that? So it drives me crazy. But besides that, he is just such a nice and a nice person that sometimes it can be like, oh, you're saying like your husband has a blinders on where he's like, nope, I'm nice, but that's it. And he's like, he doesn't get it in that sense.
Right.
So he's like so nice, and he's like, oh, well, I don't know why this person will feel this way. And I'm like, well, you're really nice. And if someone did that for me or said that to me, I'd probably feel that way as well,
Right.
So that's kind of like a pet peeve. He's just like super nice. Maybe the people that don't really deserve it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the downside of having a good man. He's gonna be a nice guy, and it's okay to be a nice guy. You just gotta sound like just gotta kind of sometimes. But yeah, I don't know why my husband is that way, but he is that way, and it's a blessing and a curse because he doesn't even acknowledge people. He's been out here longer than me, so he won't even acknowledge people that he may have known before me. And so I wouldn't know if anybody was an ex or anything like that, because he doesn't even acknowledge, people that he's the best with. But then I feel like it puts me in a position because I'm out in these streets more than he's out in these streets. So I'd be like, I need to know something. Like I could be thinking like, dang, what's wrong with that girl? And I could be thinking that she wants you, but maybe she already had you and she looking at me like, but I'm just looking at you like, what is wrong with you, Beezy?
That comment is so funny because my next question I was going to ask you, do you think it's necessary to know everything about your partner's previous relationships? But in this case, I can see why it would be helpful. I know I'm coming at you sideways and you're like, okay.
Oh, you know you.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of it's kind of important, I think, because it tells of who they are as a person, I don't need to know, every restaurant you visited or, every city you traveled to. I don't need to know that, but I definitely, some information is important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And so, it's like our little inside joke. It's like, it's hard to understand, when you're not somewhere new, but when you're somewhere new and people really don't know you, like there's so much freedom that comes with anonymity. You understand what I'm saying? So even though I'll be looking at people sideways and somebody might look at me sideways and I got to figure out because of the type of person that my husband is, I know that he's not going to allow me to be put in any type of danger over somebody that he once dealt with or anything like that. So I don't have to worry about that. So when people looking at me funny or, something like that, I'm just going to assume I said or did something wrong and keep it pushing because there's a certain freedom that comes with anonymity. Like, I'm not even from here. You don't even know me.
Right.
Or they like, oh, you must got a twin sister. Actually, I do. And she's never been to Virginia and she's never going to come. So try that on somebody else.
that one is not going to work.
So yeah, I laugh. It's our little funny joke about I wouldn't know who the girl is, but it makes me know. Never mind, Leash. I mean, it's probably better.
Right.
Who knows how I would act? I don't know. So yeah. But yeah, that's crazy though. But yeah, interesting. Dang, I knew I should have wrote that down. I just forgot what I was gonna say. It'll come back to me though.
Yes, write it down, girl. I gotta write
I
notes
know.
all the time.
I had them all too, and I was like, oh no, I guess I ran out. What else you got for me?
Well, okay, so how do you feel when other women find your partner attractive? And it's obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're saying, you guys are out, or how does it make you feel?
Girl, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Let me tell you something.
Right.
I braid my husband's hair. Okay. Almost every piece of jewelry he owns, and he's got a lot. Almost, not all of them. I've purchased those jewelry for him. 9 times, sometimes he'll get himself dressed, depending on where we're going or where he's going. But 7 times out of 10, especially because we be matching, I done picked it out. So yeah, go ahead,
Right.
baby.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know he look good, but don't
And
touch.
then when he grabs
Don't
your hand
touch it.
tight
Don't touch
so you
it.
walk closer to him, that's the best.
Yeah, but look, but don't touch. Look, but don't touch, bitch. Look, but don't touch.
Right. Yeah,
So,
it does feel good though, as I'm sure they feel the same, but it feels good. Like, yes, that's my man and he's a good man. You can look, but do not touch. So
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Absolutely. That was the question. I'm so glad you brought that up. Do you find that, or do you believe that women find him more attractive because of how they see him with you?
Absolutely. Like top to bottom. Yes. For sure. I mean, and to add a little more on that, because my husband is a coach. So now that's another layer where some women, they see that, oh, he must love kids. He's, he's a good father. He's active. So now it's like, oh, he's daddy material for sure.
Yes.
And it's,
Yep.
So, and then so they see how he is with me and, our kids, and that definitely puts, him, I think, in another bracket if you'll
Right.
say, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. That's so funny.
Similar experiences, we would need like another person. I want to, another woman that is in a good marriage. I need to hear if she's having the same experiences, because I don't have these conversations a lot.
Right. I agree. We really need to open this up. That's why I'm so glad that you came on, and I thank you again for coming on, because yes, we need more people to be open to talk about it. And again, of course, with boundaries and things like that, my biggest thing, especially on this platform, is emphasizing you could be transparent but still be private. You could keep it real and not be rude. It's the same thing, you know what I mean, to me. And so you can still be transparent and be like, hey, I just said it today, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to write it down because I'm gonna say it to Leash today. Everything that glitters ain't gold, but that don't mean it don't mean it ain't got no sparkle, baby. Okay. That don't mean it got a little bit of shine, baby. Yes, everything that glitters is not gold, but baby, it's okay to shine on them, Leash. It's okay, you gotta shine up at number gold. You gotta shine your gold, baby. You gotta shine it. I'm just saying.
Right. And so speaking on that, I know and I used to do it a lot more. I noticed that I haven't done it so much recently on social media, but you still do, where you do say, hey, my man is, XYZ. I love him for this, that, and the other. But for some reason, people always I feel like I can feel it like through the screen, that people just kind of look at it like with a snarl, or it's not like, you don't get so much love on those posts. And it's like, okay, well, for one, you don't know what we had to go through to get to this point. You don't know what I had to go through to get a man like this. Or, I'm just happy. Why can't I be happy and share my happiness with the world? How does that make you feel, really? Like, is it frustrating? How does it make you feel?
It does get frustrating. It's actually hurtful too, because why I don't feel like I have that experience on my page, because of how selective I am on who I choose to put on my page, because I'm so transparent. I see it on the flip side on his page, and he mostly has way less friends than me, because he's extra selective on who he has. And so that makes it hurtful to me, because it's like, I got people who don't even know me, you know, applauding and saying, thank you for being an example. And then people who I feel like it should come from, it doesn't always come from them. It's like, oh, they think they this, oh, they think they that. And it's like, y'all should be the happiest the most, you know? But on the flip side, if it isn't somebody who we know or feel like we're close to or have some type of relationship with, friendship or family or not, yeah, absolutely. I do feel like outsiders look like, oh man, especially, you know how we do, we like to put the gifts that we get each other. And I know that that's a trend, but that's something that we was going to do regardless, because I think we also need to normalize not just men giving the ladies gifts, but ladies showering their men as well. You know what I mean? And my husband got expensive taste. So I'm gonna show it off, because shoot, that's my money. No, let me stop. That's how much I love you, you know? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, but that, for me, that takes social media out of that. Think about what you're doing for your children.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So he's your baby boy is seeing, you know, his mom gifts his dad things. The girls are saying, wow, look how much love my dad is showing mom. And they see that. So like we're talking about, we don't have references. They're going to have so many references. And that was so important for me with my kids, to show the love like that we share between each other. Like, it's special. And I'm glad that they could be a witness to it.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
Nobody else, my children.
Right. And that's really what it's about. It's like, yeah, it's great when everybody else can celebrate with you. But you know what, doggone it? I'm going to give myself my roses while I'm alive. I'm going to give my husband his roses while he's alive. We're going to give our children their roses while they are alive, because that's really who we're living for. That's really what it's all about. And I think that's what separates certain marriages from others. Again, not to compare or not to say what's better. It's what are you value? What are you pouring it into? Are you married, but you pouring all your time into your homies or into your this or your that? Or even for us women, are you married but you're pouring all your time into your homegirls or your job, your career? You understand what I'm saying? Or are you really trying to do your best, and are y'all really trying to do your best to be inclusive? And part of being inclusive is also including your children in that. What do I look like? Or we look like living our best marriage, but our kids ain't living their best life. Okay, girl, let's be real, Leash.
Amen to that. No, I'm all for it. I mean, I think our first Vegas trip together, it was a family trip. And this is in 2008. I mean, like you said, not to brag, but I mean, we've been doing this stuff way before social media, family vacations, and just putting in the work. I'll say, like, our foundation, you know what I'm saying? We took everything slow, like I mentioned before, but family is like the number one thing to me. Like, marriage and family go hand in hand, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
I just don't believe ever leaving family behind, or, you know, and we do our own things for sure. But, you know, especially while the kids are young, like they need to see mommy and daddy happy, healthy, enjoying each other, and even how to parent. You know, they're gonna grow up and have kids, and they need to see that.
Absolutely. I agree. Go for it. What you got for me?
Okay. I don't know. What would you say is the best moment of your relationship so far? Because there's gonna be many more.
Right. The best moment was hands down August 2017 for our anniversary when we went to Miami, Florida. Yeah, hands down.
And what was so great about it?
You know, was somewhere that we wanted to go. Like, I'm real particular about vacations. I'm super bougie. I'd make no mistakes about it. I work hard for my money. My husband works hard. We work hard for his family. So I have standards, and I don't make any apologies for it. But with that, my husband is he's very frugal. He's a money manager. He's a great money manager, which helps us sustain the lifestyle that we live, because you can't be just spending frivolously. Just because you got it don't mean you got to spend it. Let's be clear about that too. That's another thing that people in marriages and really and understand and know long term, you know what I mean, or any type of relationship, you know that. But I said all that to say, I love going to beaches, but I'm not a fan of beach water. And my husband's former Navy, so he's been around the world, and so his thing is blue beach water. Blue beach water is blue. So Miami has blue water. And it was just amazing. It's so amazing. It seemed exotic, but we were still in the States. You know, it was a
Right.
destination spot that we both said that we wanted to go somewhere where we could both say that we've never been before, never been with somebody else at, you know,
Right.
neither of us had never
Yes.
been before. So it was like a first time thing. I think it was the first real time that we went on a vacation without our kids, because you know we're out here alone. You can't be trusting everybody with your kids. So I think
Yes.
that
Yes.
that as well. They had blue water. I'm definitely afraid of anything that crawls except for bugs and stuff. So I don't do lizards, I don't do rats, I don't do snakes, I don't do any of that.
Oh, me
The
neither.
iguanas walk the streets just like they do in Bad Boys 2 in Miami. There's iguanas walking around. Yes, where we were, there were iguanas. We were right off of the water. Absolutely.
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to deal with that.
We got locked on the balcony in our room the very first night, going trying to
What?
eat outside on the balcony. My husband got us locked out. We had to scream down for like 20-30 minutes before somebody came in and let us in, being bougie,
Oh
taking
my
pictures on the
God.
balcony.
Yes. Did not think that through.
I could go on and on. So same question to you.
I want to say, I don't remember the year, but we were dating.
Mhm.
And I just remember that he had booked this cabin in like Alpine for my birthday. And he
Mhm.
had got me a couple gifts, like 3 or 4 gifts. So I'm like, okay, but the trip was just, he had turned his phone off. And so that was a big thing,
Nice.
So we both turned our phone off for the weekend. And just to have that time to connect without the outside world and get to know each other. And it was a bubble bath in the room, and it was just like a great moment to be with each other. And so I think that's probably one of my best memorable moments, like of the whole relationship thus far.
Nice. That's super nice. Look, and then you said it
Yeah.
in 10 words or less. Me, I'm always running around in circles. Everything got a story with Marissa. I'm working on
I
that.
have stories. It just it just depends.
Oh, this is a good question. What are your thoughts, or
Okay.
what do you think about when you hear people talk about submitting to your
Um,
husband?
it's so funny. We just had this conversation. I want to say last weekend. And I don't have a problem necessarily submitting to my husband or anyone. I'll say in general, I don't have a problem with the idea of submitting. I don't. I think that is great. Honestly, I would love to not lead, right?
Mhm.
Like I would love, as long as I trust you and I know that you wouldn't lead us astray, I will submit to you. And I think that it's in the Bible, whatever. I
Right.
agree with the full idea of submitting. I don't have anything negative to say about it, honestly.
Right.
But I am a strong woman, though. I am a strong
Yes.
woman, and that's why it's kind of like a balance. Like I submit to my husband, but I'm strong where he's weak where I'm strong, and that's just a balance we have. So
Yeah.
some may look at it as, no, you don't submit because you do this and that, but it's like I do in this area, and I lead here, I submit here, and so yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
I
What
love
about
that
you?
answer. And I love your honesty, because I think, especially for me, I was raised in the church, so a lot of that is just ingrained in me. You know what I mean? And so even me, I find myself having to redefine. That's why I love talking to you. I love talking to other couples, because who says it got to be a cookie cutter marriage? I love redefining marriage on your own freaking terms. Every marriage is different
Yes.
because every person is different. We're individuals
Yep.
that come together as one. You know what I mean? So I said that to say, biblically people stress it, but I never really understood the biblical aspect, because depending on who you go to church up under, they may all have a different definition of submission, girl. Okay. But
Yep.
what I learned is,
Everything. They got a different definition of everything, but
yes.
that's another
And
conversation
so
too.
what I learned is it's really about having that trust, and then it is a give and take. It's a yin and yang. That's what people don't understand to marriage. It's the yin and yang. That's circle for a reason. It's we're Libras. It's the scales for a reason. They
Yes.
call it
Yes.
give and take. They give it give and take for a reason. If any of those things are out of whack, you're out of balance. If someone is giving and the other one is just taking, you're out of balance. If you're giving more than you're getting, you're out of balance. And so with that, that's how I also look at submission. It's like, yes, I can't tell you the biblical term. Somebody tell me, you know, chime in anytime. We could talk about it on the biblical term or aspect, but in our relationship, it's the same. Sounds like with yours, where it's a yin and a yang. It's a balance. And so, but it doesn't mean that I don't trust that he can lead either. And I think that's what people need to know and understand. So it's like, even if I took the lead on this, that's not me saying, no, homie, like, let me handle this. I got this. You know, that's not me saying that. That means that we've come to an agreement and a level of trust where if I do have to step in and lead, he trusts me just like I could trust him, that if I fell back, he would be able to jump right in where I left off at.
Yep, 100% with you on that. What do you think you are showing, like, in regards to marriage? Like, what do you think, what is the example you think you are putting off as far as marriage goes?
To the world, to our children, to each other. What you mean?
However you want to answer it, whatever. Mm-hmm.
So, I think we kind of dead at this horse, but people kind of perceive it to be perfect from the outside when you're just looking at the pictures and all that great, wonderful stuff. And so I think sometimes people do get not necessarily perfection vibes, but like you said, goals, you know, and I don't want to be anybody's goals, and I don't have another couple that's my goal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like our goals are our goals, like, but I could still salute, you know, another couple. Like I always say, I'm Team Anderson. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think I've ever sent goals to you. I always say I'm
no, never.
Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And right back at you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I say that to say that some that perception. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, but I also want to say that you are goals in a sense.
Okay.
As far as what you guys embody, like, you know, hearing your husband on the podcast and speaking with you, we talk a lot. I feel like if you know you can say, oh, that is a marriage to model after, to be like that. So in that sense, you know, I just wanted to clarify what I said earlier, but I can understand that. Yeah,
that's an absolutely good point, because again, if we were to decide, because of the type of relationship that we have, and we've always, I feel like, talked about marriage and blended families to some degree in all of our conversations, I feel comfortable in being able to say, man, yeah, you know, the Team Anderson, you know, them is they, you know, I can set goals if I so choose to. However, I feel like, again, when we talk about what we're putting out to other people, that's because that's the relationship that you and I have. I don't want everybody to go around trying to call everybody else's relationship their goals, or how everybody idolize. You know, no offense, I know she's your girl, but that's the most common reference is Beyonce and Jay-Z, you know what I mean? Or, you know, who's another good couple? I don't even know, but we'll just leave it at that.
But my friend called, she said, you guys are my Beyonce and Jay-Z. I said, hold on. He didn't choose about 5 times. I don't want to be that couple. Like, I am my own couple. So I, you know, definitely don't want to be referenced to anybody else except, you know, who we are. Because like we said, we don't put in some work. Like, give me my credit, give me my roses, because this is, you know, we are the Andersons, and that's who I want to stay. Like, that's it, you know.
Absolutely. Same question to you. What do you think you guys are, what's the image you guys are putting off as well?
I think family first across the board. Absolutely. I think that is, people look at us and they know that we put our family first, and that's okay with me. Absolutely. That's kind of what I want to be the message. You know what I mean? Me and Cliff, we have not celebrated our anniversary because our son was in playoff football. Like, that's just how we both roll, and we're okay with that. Like, we're okay being at the house as long as we're with each other, having a good time, turning on music, dancing, you know, putting on our favorite CD. Our favorite artist is like Jennings. You know, we can play his 4 CDs straight, and we have a great time thinking about, you know, just reminiscing. So our family just really means everything to us. So that's my answer. Yeah.
You brought up a good point, though. Go ahead.
No, I don't have anything.
Time and balancing that. How important is that time? Like, you know, my heart sank, one, because I can relate, but also because I can relate of how that feels when you have to give up things that are so important to you guys. You know, there's a lot of emphasis on the sacrifice husband and wife make for each other, but what about the sacrifice you guys make for your children? You want to talk a little bit about that? And as far as that goes with you guys' time together?
Well, I think it's been a big sacrifice, because our children are all active in sports as well. My husband also coaches,
Right.
and at one time I was coaching too. And so really there was no time, like there was just not enough time in the day. But in those moments, or when that happens, like, because we are married, we don't have to like start attacking each other. Like, it's, for us, it's okay. Like, we know it's gonna come. Like, now our kids are 20 and 19. We don't see them. I mean, they're so it's a sacrifice that we both understand. We're both willing to accept, because we know that time is gonna be, spent together is just gonna be so far and few in between. So it's something that we realize, we accept, and we know it'll change.
Right. Which is good. And it's good that you guys have that. And again, modeling your own marriage, making your own rules. What works for you guys is what works for you guys. Me and my husband, I said, we're out here by ourselves. So, that's how our kids know, you know what I mean? So a lot of times, I'm tired because my date nights start after 9 o'clock when my kids are in bed, you know what I mean? But Mackenzie's older now. So that is opening up a little bit more opportunities because she's 14, she's responsible enough. My kids are responsible enough, well, not that Marianne, but the other two are responsible enough. Ages 14 and 11. Like, if your bedtime's at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I don't need to wait till 8 or 9 o'clock at night for me and my husband to go to dinner. We're going to go to dinner at 5 o'clock, and y'all going to, we going to work it out as a family. Right. Because you have to do what you have to do sometimes. But in doing that, that balance sometimes does get out of whack. And sometimes you guys are so exhausted because of everything. Me and my husband, it's like, okay, as long as we're in the bed at night together, that's it, as long as, you're leaving out the door and you come back in, I get my kiss, because sometimes, especially when you're trying to build and work, especially probably in San Diego with the cost of living being so high, especially too, like, we on this train, you know what I mean?
we make time for each other. Like, we date a lot, and I love it because I really don't like to go out with crowds of people. So, we go to my favorite restaurant. It's, in and out, the prices are cheaper because it's lunch. Like, so we date all the time. We'll rent scooters and ride around downtown. And we also both work literally downtown, like 3 blocks from each other. So we're riding to work together. Really nice. So we carpool together. We used to work in the same building together. So we can see each other throughout the day at any moment. If I feeling like we need to have a conversation, we can just meet and go to Starbucks, grab a drink, and talk. So we definitely get our moments throughout the day together. And it's funny because one of our kids will FaceTime us, and the other one will answer, and they're like, "You guys are together?" Like, they're always surprised that whenever they call us, we're like always together. Right. What are you guys doing? It's like, so we definitely get our time in together for sure.
That's amazing. That's something that we're working on. It seemed a little bit harder only because of quarantine. So that's something that we have to really get back in the groove of doing, only because I'm a busybody. So being home, it's like, I enjoy his company. He really enjoys my company being home, because this is the most I've been home since probably I went back to work. I think Marianne was a little over a year when I went back to work. I can't remember, but this is the most I've been home in at least 6 or 7 years. So he loves it. He absolutely loves it. But me being the busybody that I am, I'm like, okay, I sat still too long. I need something to do. Let's go somewhere.
Right. Yeah, your mind is going.
And so it's finding that adjustment.
Let's start a podcast.
Yeah, you just gave me a good idea, because I forgot. That's the part that I missed, is dating. We enjoy that, and we can totally do that. We have not done that in quarantine at all, and we could totally, except for like special occasions, and we could totally do that right now. Our kids are in classes. They know how to sign themselves into classes. That's a good idea.
You should go to breakfast, go to brunch.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I like having these conversations too, because it's like, oh wait, I can approach this different. Or that's just one small suggestion, but you see how the other people are doing things, and it's like, oh wow, I could probably incorporate that into what I'm doing or what we're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You got anything else?
No, that's all I got. It's been wonderful. This has been definitely wonderful. I'm gonna sit back. I always play back the playbacks all the time, which is so crazy because my voice is kind of high pitched, especially when I get excited, and then it gets a little aggressive when I get real passionate. So sometimes I don't like listening to my own voice. Sometimes I gotta turn it down a little bit, but I listen to every single one and I'll repeat them over and over and over and over again because this is just a beautiful thing. It's not that I want to hear myself talk. I enjoy this exchange of conversation, these exchange of ideas. That's why it's called Listen Up and Let's Talk About It. I could talk till I'm blue in my face. Everybody in my family knows I'm a talker, but okay, sometimes you got to shut up and listen too. You know what I mean? And I think that explains, not to get all off track, but explains a lot that's going on in our world in the United States right now. Everybody got something to say about something. Ain't nobody listening to nobody. Everybody feel like their point, their opinion, their view is more important than yours. So everybody's just yelling at everybody. Just shut up and listen, and let's listen up and let's talk about it. Yeah, you know.
Yes. I agree. Yeah. Shout out to Kamala for getting in the White House because she is married and she's in a blended family, and that's the first
interracial family. That is major. That is so major. Yes. I didn't know until she started running, as the presidential candidate that she was married to a white guy. I had no idea. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know about Kamala until she threw her hat in the ring. But it's amazing. Close to her, just period. That's so bomb. Anybody saying anything other than that, that's fine too. God bless you.
Yeah, I'm just happy that she represents a lot of more of what America looks like. You said interracial dating. There's a lot of interracial dating, blended family, Black woman.
Yeah,
I love it.
I wonder, especially when we talk about compromise, how much he had to compromise, or she, in that give and take in the marriage, as far as for her to get there, because that's major. Like, she's gonna be a busy woman.
Yeah, for sure. And they're not gonna have time to, like we said, with their foundation that they built will carry them through those times. And that's what I truly believe. If we don't get a chance to go on those dates or spend as much one-on-one time, the foundation that we have is solid. So I don't ever worry about,
So we'll end it with this question and we can both answer it. Looking back, let's say from when you and Cliff first got together to now, what's the best advice you would give your former self?
Wow, what is the best advice I would give myself? I would say be more compassionate and more understanding. And I say that because, like we talked about friends, having this relationship with people in general before I came along. And, like Cliff is really, he's a caring person, and he does have a lot of friends, but just being more understanding, like when things change, I could see why he's so special. I could see why that urge to like hold on to him was so tight, So probably just be a little more like compassionate and understanding as far as that goes. What about you?
I say I would tell myself, Marissa, chill out and let them love you. That's what I was saying. Yeah, let them love you. We have this vision of what love is supposed to be, and this and this and that, especially when you start start talking about submission and talk about all this other shit that people come along with. I think we have to kind of get out of our own mind and kind of really think about where that vision came from, about the people, what those people had. We don't know what them people had to endure to be married for 35, 37 years, and they ain't all talking about it. So you can't really be like, oh, this is how my grandma and them did it, because you can't really do that, And so, I was raised by a single mom. And so my mom, she made it very clear, whether she didn't talk much, she wasn't a talker, she was a doer. And so even to this day, I've heard my mom cuss a couple of times, but she has her favorite bad word, a punk ass motherfucker. That's her favorite bad word to say. And it sounds so funny when she says it, because she doesn't cuss. She speaks very proper.
Right.
So it's so funny when she says it. My brother just said the other day too, he said, you remember she used to say, get out of here with your riffraff or something like that. I said, oh man. So anyways, long story short, people always say the only man you need is God. That's what my mom used to tell me. And so when you get in a relationship and a marriage with somebody who genuinely loves you and wants to do right by you, it could be something that's hard to accept depending on how you were raised and where you come from and what kind of experiences you had with men before this person came into your life. So I would tell my former self, Marissa, sit down, shut up, and let him love you. That's what I was.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I loved our time together.
Definitely. Hopefully I didn't keep you up too long. I know it's a little
It's
bit
only
earlier.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say it's a little earlier on you guys' end, so hopefully I didn't keep you guys too busy. This is when I do my best work, is at night once the kids in the house start to kind of calm down. I'll wipe my
Yeah.
couch. I gave up wine again.
Well, you
So
see
yeah,
me,
I know. I'm like, ooh, I'm jealous. Ooh, I'm jealous. I'm like, I think I'll go eat some chocolate or something. But it's been a pleasure, my love. Thank you so much
Yes,
for like
no
the
problem.
world to me. It means the world to me. So once I put up the recording and send you a link, all you got to do is just share, share.
I will, for
And
sure.
maybe
I
we'll
will.
get some other people willing to talk about it, so we can really like have a meeting of the minds, because this will be wonderful. I can't wait to see like 6 other screens on here with us talking about this.
That would be nice. And yeah, maybe we can do it once a month.
Absolutely. Oh, look at you, girl. Okay, I see. On Facebook, that's my little sprinkle, girl.
Right?
Don't mind me, girl. I'm probably tired, child. But thank you so much. I love you so much.
Okay, no problem. I love you too.
All
Okay,
right.
have a great night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Until next time, my dear.
Bye.